Today, we're doing something huge. We're upgrading the single most important tool any of us have, our own mind. We're going to move beyond our default ways of thinking and start building a full toolkit that'll let us see problems with, honestly, incredible clarity. This quote from the legendary Charlie Munger, it just perfectly nails the trap that every single one of us falls into. It's really the core idea behind everything we're going to talk about. Think about it. We all have that one favorite hammer, right? That go-to way of thinking. Maybe for you, it's crunching all the numbers, looking at everything through data. Or maybe you're all about the human psychology angle. And look, those are great tools. But when they're the only tool you use, they start to really limit what you can see. And there's actually a scientific name for this. The Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman calls it YSITA. It's a bit of a mouthful. What you see is all there is. Basically, our brain takes that little sliver of information our favorite hammer gives it, and then confidently builds this whole coherent story, completely ignoring the massive amount of information that's just out of view. Okay, so this isn't just some minor mental quirk. This reliance on a single perspective, it's a huge deal. As we're about to see, it leads to some pretty predictable and often disastrous blind spots in our judgment. So when we're stuck with just one way of seeing the world, we get fixated. It's like we put on blinders. We start to actively ignore evidence that doesn't fit our nice, neat story, which, of course, makes us way too confident. The thing is, every single model, no matter how powerful it is, has its own built-in blind spots. All right, so that's the problem. But if the problem is a single hammer, what's the solution? Well, it's building a full-blown toolkit. This is what Charlie Munger famously calls a latticework of mental models. So what exactly is a mental model? Let's break it down. It's really just a simplified representation of how something works. But here's the magic trick. We borrow these ideas from big established fields. Think physics, biology, economics. And we use them as thinking tools for, well, pretty much everything else. And look, this is not some new productivity hack. This is a powerful idea with a serious pedigree. We're talking Aristotle, way back, thinking about problems through multiple causes. Fast forward to Charlie Munger putting a name to the latticework idea. And more recently, Philip Tetlock's research actually proved that thinkers who use many models, he calls them foxes, they consistently beat the experts who rely on just one big idea. Okay, you ready? Let's go on a super quick tour of what some of these tools actually look like. The whole point here is just to give you a taste of the sheer variety of lenses we can use. First up, from the world of physics, we get leverage. This one is huge. Instead of just asking, what should we do? This model forces you to ask a better question. Where is the one spot where a tiny bit of effort will give us a massive result? Then we jump over to biology for the idea of an ecosystem. This is all about seeing the connections. It stops you from looking at a project as a single thing and forces you to see the whole complex web and how pulling on one little thread over here could cause a huge unexpected mess way over there. And from economics, a personal favorite, second-order effects. Look, anyone can see the immediate result of an action. That's easy. That's first-order thinking. The real pros, the masters of the game, they always ask, and then what happens? And what happens after that? That's where all the surprises and unintended consequences are hiding. Okay, let's slow down for a second, because what we're about to get into is probably the most powerful and maybe the most counterintuitive part of this whole way of thinking. See, the real power here isn't about finding a bunch of models that all agree with each other. It's not about finding confirmation. The real magic happens when you find the ones that fight. Let's make this real with a classic tension pair. On one side, you have first principles thinking. This model tells you to just tear everything down, ignore tradition, strip it all back to the absolute fundamental truths, and rebuild from there. But then, you have this other great model, Chesterton's fence, and it gives you the exact opposite advice. It says, whoa, hold on, before you tear down that fence, you better be damn sure you know why it was put up in the first place. So which is it? What do? Do you smash the wall and innovate, or do you respect the wisdom of the past and just leave it alone? And here's the big reveal. You don't pick one. That's the trap. The real insight isn't in either model alone. It's in the tension between them. The smart question isn't which one is right. It's under what specific conditions is each one the right tool for the job. So this all sounds great, right? But how do you actually start? How do you become one of these foxes? a thinker who uses lots of small ideas instead of just one big one.
It's actually simpler than it sounds. Here's your path. 1. Just learn 5 core models. Really learn them from different fields. 2. Start actively looking for them in the real world. When you're reading an article or you're in a meeting, try to tag them in your head. Oh, that's an example of leverage. And 3. Find your first productive tension. Find a situation where 2 of your models tell you to do opposite things. That's where the deep learning really starts.
This ancient Greek quote just says it all, doesn't it? The hedgehog digs in, knows one big thing, sees the world through one powerful lens. The fox, though, is agile. The fox circles the problem, looking at it from many different angles. We want to be the fox. So I'll leave you with this to think about. What's a really important problem in your life right now, at work or at home, that you've only been looking at with a single tool? What's your hammer? And what might you see if you just tried picking up a completely different tool from the box?